Okay, you know I like to do connection videos. This one should be just a small one. I've done at least 3 videos showing South American or Mayan and Aztec connections with things that have been shown from the Phoenicians and a few other people, but especially the Egyptians. There seems to be a connective there. And you know, whenever you have something like this and it has multiple things put together, it starts to become an impossibility, like I talked about in some of the other videos, that somebody could come up with a trope or an idea that has these 3 things connected and in a certain stance or anything like that, and then you see it somewhere else and you know, well, that must be connected to it somehow. You follow me? Well, here we see an odd depiction of somebody in the bottom left-hand corner, and this is at the Temple of Isis, just stuck off in the corner here. Looks like it's all buried under either a pillowing rock or a bunch of bags just all stacked up like they do sometimes when they're, giving to an effigy or something like that. But if you look down here at the bottom, trapped up under this thing that's here, what we see is a serpent, almost like a cartouche, wrapped around this person, which has a primordial type headdress, well, almost looking like headdresses from pre-dynastic times until the earliest dynasties. Oh, there are a lot of headdresses that will have ostrich feathers and things like that onto them. Who is this person here? Because while he seems to be wearing a skirt and pouring out a libation and so on, in doing so, it's doing it in the middle of a serpent, and this serpent has bird attributes to him and even a bird beak on a snake, which we've shown snake and bird connections and mythologies with ancient Sumer and all of these connectives that even come back, and you can find it in Mexico with their origin idea of there's going to be an eagle and a snake and so on. But then the weird connective is we can find this same thing found in the Mayan people, and it looks very similar. Again, you can see it here straight up. And on top of that, it looks like there's a mountain goat or something that's up there climbing up on these pillowed type rocks. And there's the serpent down below. So that's strange. We're getting a good view of it here, but now look up there at the top of that and you realize that the ancient Olmecs had a earliest effigy coming from the very first of their origins, and this special rock work where he's holding this bag again. So in the other picture it's pouring out a libation of water, but I mean, if it had a bag, that would be just, oh my gosh. And there are points of that. But notice too that he is surrounded and covered in this point by a snake, or a dragon some would call it, is a feathered serpent, and it has that same bird beak on it too. We've made a whole lot of connections before with dragons and where they show up around the world, and people think, well, there's not anything in Egypt about like that, and then you show somebody one of their effigies and it's a snake with flying wings, and Herodotus, everybody talks about it, the story of the phoenix, the whole idea. They say that looking at the inscriptions here, the guy on the left is actually a deity called Happi, right? And that's actually listed as the Temple of Phileo, and it's Happi encircled by a flying serpent. On the right hand side here you have quetzal, and he is known as a flying serpent. And you see him doing the same type of effigy in almost the same pose. Just an odd connection that's there. And dragons. Then there's a cartouche of what? Well, it's a flying snake, but it has bird attributes to it. Comes across as some kind of weird dragon, but both of them have this weird dragon idea, and they have bird beaks on them. None of that's really evident in anything in reality, although we could talk about how this may represent a whole idea inside of mythology of these flying serpents that these guys talk about, and both of them having a picture onto it. So we've never really had any serpent type creature with a bird beak in the first place. I've said lots of times that people finding ancient dinosaur bones and stuff, especially like a triceratops looking like a beak, is where they come up with the idea of griffins and so on. And then you look at the 4 zodiac cardinal points, and those are the Lamasu's individual things, 4 thrown into one, with the bull and the man and the winged deity and so on here. But this is one that's trapped and off in left field and kind of like, and then they have that same in the Olmecs. Let me know what you think down below. I just thought I'd share this with you because I don't have it in any other videos, because it's a separate wall carving here than the one on the right. We've talked about the one on the right before, handbags, all that type of stuff, but here's the god Happi pouring out the river Nile, which is said to be like a snake curling down through there, just like Snake River that Evel Knievel jumped over back in the day. Is there some way you can make a connection to that? Or are these 3 things thrown together a little bit too conspicuous to say that they're totally apart from each other and don't have any connection? Let me know what you think down below. We'll move on. Peace.